FPL Gameweek 28 transfer targets. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at each and every single position's best transfers to bring in for Gameweek 28. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys. I wanted to do this a bit differently in a very nice setup, which I feel is a lot more convenient. So, to my right on the side here, this is where you'll find the fixture ticker I have put with the, I believe it's the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the best 7 fixtures that are from Game Week 28 to Game Week 31. So we have a bit of context as to, all right, these are the teams with the best fixtures. And then, of course, further on down that side, we've got the fixtures for actually Game Week 28. And then right over there, we have the the best predicted points for the players in that actual position. And then right below me, we actually have the form table. So the players that are actually in form in order from top to bottom. So we're going to start off with the strikers for you guys, because we all know that we have a bit of dilemmas now with Mateta and Cunha as well being out, and possibly Isak as well, considering that he was also subbed off and he didn't make an appearance in Game Week 27. So if we look below me here, you will see the players that are actually in form currently right now. If you don't know, I've been saying that every season you have that situation of form versus fixtures, and this season form for me has proven to be the winner, where if a player has got form despite his fixtures being bad, he's still a good pick. So I love to really look at the form table to actually confirm my thoughts when it comes to the players that I actually am thinking about bringing in, and that's why we'll have here to help us discuss the players who are predicted to actually score the most points in the specific game week that we're looking at right now, Game Week 29, but of course in the long run between Game Week 28 and 31. So when it comes to strikers, a lot of us, I think, wanted to bring in Cunha and either have Cunha, and a lot of us also have Mateta, and some of you who will be doing a free hit in Game Week 29 as well. We're also looking to bring in Mateta because of the great fixtures he has in Game Week 28, which is Ipswich. Now, I think it's very clear and obvious. Firstly, on Mateta's side, he was, of course, reported to be released from hospital. In fact, I think the next day, or if not the same day, later on in the afternoon, after getting 25 stitches from a horrendous tackle. I actually do not want to see it. I haven't seen it, and I will not see it. I'm one of those guys who just, I can't take the horrific tackles. I just can't, because I still play indoor and I don't want to see anything like that. So yeah, but nonetheless, I think he will miss this game week, and I think Glasner also did say this, that look, he might just miss this game week just to probably give him some rest time there, which is absolutely fine. And I think he'll be back, of course, for Game Week 29. I mean Game Week 30, where Game Week 29 he's actually blanking. So I think if you want to, you can definitely keep him, because he has a really great fixture straight after that in Game Week 30. So for me, he's worth a keep if you're doing a free hit. If you're doing a free hit, he's worth a keep. I don't think you really have to take him out. Definitely don't buy him. And with Mateus Cunha, like in my situation, I actually have him. I think just take him out. 3 game weeks, honestly, I don't think you can really hold him. Even if you're gonna do a free hit, I just don't feel like it's worth it. I feel like you can honestly maximize somewhere else. They really got great fixtures, and there's very, really different options you can go for there as well. Like, for example, not in the predicted points there, but João Pedro there at second, he's really come up out of nowhere, honestly performing, returning in the past 2 games as well. Danny Welbeck as well, further down in the table. He also scored the winner in the actual FA Cup goal. Basically, my point is Brighton is a team that's really performing really well right now, and they're at home against Fulham. I think they can really do well, and their fixture even against Man City, I honestly wouldn't say is a sure in for Man City. I actually think Brighton is the type of team that can really upset the big boys, and we all know this. And City's not necessarily the same City that we know. So I hear a lot of people talking about captaincy with Erling Haaland, but I'm actually not even looking at that in myself. And speaking about Erling Haaland right at the top there of the predicted points, my perspective, look, if you've got the money, guys, go for it. I think there's a third spot that's open in terms of the strikers that we should be having for game week 28/29. It's definitely a Wood, because Wood is playing Ipswich in game week 29, so I think he can definitely face a Man City game in game week 28 as well. That's absolutely fine. And then the other player as well, I think, is a Johan Wissa. Johan Wissa, and he's I think in terms of a player, his form has been good. He's just been unlucky and not necessarily putting away a lot of the chances he had before the previous two games. And now I think he's about to start ramping up into that. Like, that form has changed definitely in the game before this, which was an easier game. I forgot who it was. I think it was, no, not Leicester. I think it was, no, not Leicester. Can't remember who it was, but he's returned in the past two games, and I think he can definitely do it at home against the Aston Villa as well, whose defense isn't necessarily all that strong. So those are the two players I feel like you should definitely be having going into game week 29 as well as game week 28. I think their fixtures are favorable, both at home as well. It becomes a third striker who it becomes a question. I think, of course, if you're playing the free hit, then Isak for me is a no-brainer to have in this game week 28, because he's playing a West Ham. As much as it's away, I think he's still a really great pick. Might not necessarily have the minutes for him, considering he, there's a question of injury as well, but I think he'll have a lot of rest time that he'll definitely start and have more than 60 minutes, that's for sure. Interestingly, Raul there, I think he's there more so because, there are teams that are blanking, and Isak is Isak. He can definitely be over Raul, but I just wouldn't consider him at all. I think looking at the form table, I really like Beto. He is actually in my team. Another player who has been in form, just didn't return recently, but he's playing Wolves, and Wolves without Cunha as well. I think Everton is definitely going to be the more dominant team in there as well. So he's also a 5.0, very good enabler for you. He's someone you can definitely look at. And then I think on the other hand as well, Marmoush, if you look below me as well, is also very high up right below Beto on the form table. He's someone you can definitely consider. I mean, after his hat-trick, he has blanked, but he's 2 times less than Haaland, bro. So you can definitely go for him. I think he's a better, cheaper gambler to go for in terms of a third striker. But yeah, that's where I'd go. I think Brighton might not have the fixtures, but yeah, I think I would actually go for a Beto first, Marmoush second, and then I would go for a João Pedro option as a third striker after the Wood and Johan Wissa. If you don't have a actual free hit that you're going to be playing in game week 29. If you do, then I think Isak is a no-brainer. Free hits as well, Haaland is, I think, a no-brainer because you're bringing him, taking him out as well. So that makes absolute sense. So yeah, that's the strike force there. Let's go on to the actual midfield as well. Now, in the midfield, very interesting because this is where I'm at. I've still got Morgan Rogers, and I am looking to ship him out as well. And I'm actually looking at, interestingly, at the bottom of this table is a Bruno Fernandes, mainly because of that game week 29. I'm not going to be playing a free hit, and he's going to be playing Leicester. So I think some players will be bringing him in on that free hit. And I think, that's a game in which, despite the form of Man United not necessarily being the best and their performances as well, I think that's a game in which Bruno can definitely run away with something. And yes, he's going to be playing against my team Arsenal in game week 28, but I'd still take the gamble there on him as well. Still looking below there, I still really love Neto. I did vouch for him in the previous game week. I think he can still do well in this game week as well. But I think we also can't ignore right below him there is Brian Mbeumo, of course, on penalties as well, and also the number one predicted points player there. So him being at the top there as well, looking to be the more favorable player more than Bruno. And what surprised me as well is both Bruno and Mbeumo's fixtures actually turn around game week 30 to 31. They start to play really tough fixtures, the big six. And so I'm really surprised not to see Bruno here at all. But below Mbeumo, you've got a Foden, and I think that plays into game week 29 more so than game week 28. And when it comes to Man City, of course, we can only pick 3 players from Man City, and I think Foden is definitely a second player. I think a first player we'll get to in more so the defense. I think you know who I'm talking about. A third player would be the striker, which was Haaland or Mamouche. I think we'll go rather for Mamouche because of price. Haaland has been returning. Sorry to still be on Haaland. Haaland has still been returning, but you know what it is. For that price, he has to be scoring two goals in a game. So I think for Mamouche to blank and your money still being spread out elsewhere, I think it's still a safer pick. But nonetheless, Foden being a second pick, I think is worth it. A lot more cheaper than the gentleman that's below him, Son Heung-min over there, who himself, I feel like had actually shown some form also in the previous 3 games in actual fact, because he had been returning as well. But he's not down below in this table, which also surprises me. Wow. But he's got some he's also got a good row of fixtures coming up, as you can see on the table over here. His team is number 4 with Bournemouth and then Fulham as well, home and away, and then you've got Chelsea, and then you've got a Southampton in game week 31. So the Bournemouth home at fixture, I think they can definitely do something, but I think we all still think that Bournemouth will be the one to come out on top there. But I think if a return is to come through, Son could be involved in that one as well. But the thing is just that his price, and which is what takes me back to Foden, I think Foden is the better option there actually. I really agree with actually the points predicted table numbers here. I think Mbeumo, if you're going to be bringing in a midfielder, is number 1. Number 2, I think a lot of us have already got a Justin Kluivert, who's funny enough at the bottom of this table, of the form table, because he hasn't necessarily been returning consecutively, but he does come in and week out, in terms of some weeks he's in, some weeks it's out. The previous week he was in and returned. Nelson Semedo being 3rd on the actual points predicted table, I think it's just a testimony of his 90 minutes that he plays and the involvement that he can have in the actual team and the attack as well. He just hasn't been at the end of the actual goals, and when it comes to the attack, he's really been involved in bringing and building up the ball there. So with Evan Nilsson back, maybe that might change in terms of the way they actually connect. But yeah, definitely Dango Ouattara is not one to be bringing in right now, just because of Nilsson's bringing in a very different factor there, in which, you know, minutes could be less effective for Dango Ouattara in terms of attack. So Semenyo is definitely becoming the number 1 pick when it comes to Bournemouth, who you find at the second point of the fixture ticker. The thing I do hate as well is that with Wolves at the top of the fixture ticker, there is no number 1 Wolves. I was thinking about a Joao Gomez, and a Sarabia, but a Sarabia's minutes are not necessarily confirmed and concrete. And in the attack as well, I was also thinking about a Strand Larsen, but Strand Larsen's minutes are good, but it's just at the end of the day, without Cunha, you really question, can you guys do it? And I think this game week against Everton, especially because they're at home, let's also see what the team can actually do. I think if they can break through that Everton defense, I think we can start to see some assets actually come up and put their hands up as to, hey, put me in that midfield or the attack. Odegaard, I think on the last player here, I don't think is really an option. Again, I think we should be staying away from the Arsenal attack there. I think somebody I would put in there is a Pedro Neto. I would put a Pedro Neto in there as well. Chelsea's fixtures Of course, are not the best, but they're definitely also not the worst. Leicester's a really great entry point. Of course, the best time to have brought them in is in game week 27, but I think it's not too late. Yes, Arsenal is going to be a tough game, but I don't think it will be the worst game. I think it's going to be a close game in actual fact, because Arsenal's not scoring. So Chelsea tend to be able to go on the break, and I think Pedro Neto and crew, Palmer, Madueke are the perfect team to actually be scoring the type of goals that Arsenal hate. And then they play against Tottenham as well. I think those fixtures are pretty well. So Pedro Neto is also a really great option to bring in, and I would put him in place of that of Odegaard there, and actually above Son Heung-min. So it would be Mbeumo first, a Foden second, a Semenyo, and then a Pedro Neto. And just to add, to make it number 5, I would actually bring in a Bruno Fernandes, because I really love his fixture in game week 29, and I think that he can also do some damage against Arsenal. Hoping that he really doesn't. But yeah, that is the midfielders, and of course, what would I like to do here? Oh yes, what I wanted to ask is for you guys to please hit that like button, and most importantly, subscribe. If there's one thing you want to do, that is subscribe. Just subscribe. If it's too much to ask to hit the like button, guys, subscribe. I'm always here every week bringing you guys this type of information, as well as some of my team, what I'm doing actually with my team. And then also I have a league, when the league code is in the description. The tools that I do use are from Fantasy Football Hub, really great. They got a 30% off with a 7-day free trial. If you guys don't like it, you can just basically opt out, and you won't pay anything after that 7-day, but you can get 30% off. The link is in the description, and you have to use the link in the description to get that 30% off. So remember, subscribe, link in the description for that 30% off on Fantasy Football Hub. Now, let us get to the defense, okay? For the defense, I think it's fairly obvious that Arsenal assets, Liverpool assets are the ones to go for. They are the best defense in the league, absolutely. And you should have at least one player from there, say a Gabriel, of course, Trent, of course, and maybe some of you guys will actually have a Konate, who's a better enabler, as well as maybe a Van Dijk, who's just a very different option if you're going differential. Now, above all these defenders, I do put a Guardiola as a number 1. I just haven't included him here. I decided to look at the next 10 best points predicted players, because it was fairly obvious at the top. It was just full of Timbers, Salibas, Trents, Guardiola, and it was like, okay, cool, guys. This is obvious. We should be bringing in one of these guys as well. Those are the more expensive options. These are the more cheaper options for us as well, which I think a lot of people will most likely be looking at rather. But if you don't know your more expensive options and obvious as well, go for the teams with the best defense, Arsenal and Liverpool. If you're going cheap, Liverpool, Konate is the best player to go, but they've got a blank game week, so in game week 29, I wouldn't go for him. Arsenal, if you want to go there, I think Gabriel is still worth it, though he hasn't necessarily been all that effective from set pieces, and I think that will change when Saka comes back. Nonetheless, let's talk about these guys, the cheaper options. Aït-Nouri at the top there, along with Wolves, the best fixtures ticker. I believe he is definitely the best player to bring in, because he's also a lot cheaper as well. Doherty at the bottom there is another option, but I would remove Doherty over there, and I'd actually put in a Nico Williams, because he's also playing a Ipswich in game week 29. And I think that's the thing with you've probably noticed by now. You're planning for game week 20. You're going for game week 28, but you're planning for game week 29 as well. And I'm trying to accommodate the two people who have a free hit and don't have a free hit as well. So Wolves assets defensively, Aït-Nouri is the one. If you want to go for another person, Doherty, I personally would rather go for a Semedo, because it's basically covering the other wing as well. He's also attacking, not necessarily like a Aït-Nouri who's attacking, but quite frankly like a A left back playing 10 role, bro. It's everywhere. So I would rather go for an 8 Nori. Nelson Tomato's 4.5 last I checked. So yes, it's a bit more expensive than Doherty, but I would go for a Nelson Tomato rather. Cucurella, Chelsea got Leicester away. I think is still a good entry point. He's also going to be playing in that blank game week 34. And if you're like me, someone's trying to maneuver both blank game weeks, predicted game week, blank game week 34, Cucurella is also definitely 90 minutes confirmed and will be the best player to bring in. Now, I think if we jump to the form table that's right below me, Munoz is without a doubt the best defender to bring in, cheap defender as well, 5.0. I'm bumping in here because I also want to mention him and say he is a good option if you've got the free hit, right? If you don't have the free hit, I think you're looking more at the players that are here in the predicted points, which I think is a lot of the people who will be going for players who they don't have to worry about using their free hits in Game Week 29. And just a quick note on that. I think, guys, if you can, I would say keep your free hit. Keep your free hit because I think you can use it further on down the line. I think if you got all your chips, then yeah, definitely you can use it here, or maybe better in the game week 34 because there's going to be bigger blanks there than here, which has just got 2 teams blanking. I would rather use it in game week 34 than in game week 29. I think you can easily maneuver this, but of course that's something you should have been working towards probably by game week 25 and not now. So yeah, anyway, in terms of form, Jet Spence right there below. Spurs, you can see, are 4th on the fixture ticker as well. He has been rotating in between the wings with Oro and Udogi as well, but his minutes aren't necessarily secure. Very nice price. Definitely going to be playing in game week 29 as well. Someone who's been very surprising is a Wan-Bissaka. I think also definitely because of his finish in terms of end product in the final third with that cross he gave Bowen was like, wow, was that Wan-Bissaka? That's like the one thing a lot of Man United fans had been wishing for him to be able to do when he was back there, but now he's doing it at West Ham. So yeah, kind of sad to see for them, but as well for me. I think he's also a very good player to be bringing in, and I say that just because West Ham's fixtures also aren't necessarily bad. They're not over here by the fixture ticker, but I have taken a look at them as well. They are not really the worst. It's actually the team which is actually bad, and I think that's why a lot of people are not considering him or even on the actual points predicted here. Huijsen over here coming back to this table. I think, guys, he is a good option and clearly a better option than Kirkes now. I think Kirkes got a suspension. Did he? Yellow card? No, I must be talking trash. But I think I'd find it interesting that he's above him here in the points predicted. If it is that Kirk has got a suspension, which I do think he does. If I don't, and if I'm not, I must be talking nonsense. That would make sense. But I do like Kirkes because of the way he attacks. Actually, I think it really helps. With Huijsen, I see him just a lot more of an attacking threat when it comes to set pieces more often than anything. And I'm talking about that. There's Milenkovic there, who I think is also still a fine option. I really do trust Nottingham Forest's defense. I think we definitely seen what they could do early on in the season with their defense. So I just like a Nico Williams there, a cheaper option than Aina. So if you've got the money, you can definitely go for Aina. I think the second tier is Milenkovic as well, good on set pieces. And then, of course, a Nico Williams at 4.4 is a better option for me, if you ask me. Yeah, in terms of defense for Brighton, I wouldn't go anywhere there. And I'm just mentioning them because they are lower down here on the actual form table. So that is that. Now, let's go on to keepers because there are some people who do have keeper dilemmas in terms of keepers that they have to take out and bring in. And so I think this one will be really quick for you guys with looking at the actual points predicted here. Ray is at the top, followed by Edison, Sells, Jose Sa, and Kepa as well. Now, I think Jose Sa definitely in terms of the fixtures, it's just the defense in itself isn't necessarily the best. Followed by Kepa, who again, the defense isn't necessarily the best. And this is why I think you see Raya at the top there, who I believe can get in the fixtures coming. Looking at that, I think we've got Man United, very possible to get a clean sheet, very possible. Chelsea, I don't see a clean sheet there being at home. I don't see a clean sheet at Fulham. I think we can get a clean sheet at Everton. I really do. So I see 2 clean sheets out of 4 for Raya. Same with Edison. Man City, you can see a clean sheet with Leicester, of course. Brighton, no. I see 1 clean sheet actually out of 4 fixtures. Sal's, for me, differently. I actually do see 2 clean sheets there. I think I can see one at Ipswich and at Man United. Aston Villa at home, I think they'll definitely score against them. So Sal's is also a very good pick if you ask me. If you look at the form table, we've got Verbruggen right at the top there. Of course, Brighton have been doing very well. Edison followed right behind him there. Man City have actually, in terms of clean sheets, been getting them. The thing there is that you still do see Ortega coming in. So I think right now, in terms of fixtures, Raya is actually number 1 to be the person at the top. I think then followed by him, I think I would be. I think I would have a. This is tough, eh? if you free hitting, and that's the other thing, I think I would definitely have a Henderson, because Ipswich now and then Southampton after, and that's the same thing with Alisson as well. You know, I really love them, and I totally see why they're not here because of the blank game week. Flecken has really shown some really good form, of course, with Brentford, so that makes total sense as well. Second keeper next to Raya. Not blanking Gaming 29. I'd go all the way down in this form table and go to Jorgensen because of the Leicester game. I think they can both rotate very well. I think they'll play against each other, of course, in Gaming 29. I'd rather play Raya. But Jorgensen with Leicester right now, I think I'd play him this game week. Raya in Gaming 29. And then in Game Week 30, I could still play Raya. In Game Week 31, I could still play Raya as well. Yeah. If you want to, maybe, I guess, Kepa, but I still see them. Yeah, I still see them conceding. I think you can take a punt with Jose Sa, 4.3. It's not bad, eh? It's really not bad. Really not bad. Yeah. But yeah, guys, that's me for this game week. Please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget. Really would appreciate the support. Also, I will be doing a Game Week 29 free hit draft later on this week, hopefully before my team selection, just to help us as well in making final decisions as to who we should be bringing in, especially for those who are going to be maneuvering Game Week 29 and want to make sure that they are also ahead of the people who are free hitting Game Week 29. So I will check you guys in the next video.